Got my latest quilt done. This one's called Broken Blocks. I wonder why. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, July the 6th, 2020. It's vlog number 175, and it's day 117 of my captivity. So, what have I been working on? Right behind me. It's hanging up. Now, I showed this to you last week, but it wasn't finished yet. And this is the one I call the Broken Block Quilt. And it's a broken block quilt because these were all orphan blocks, meaning that they were blocks that never made their way into a quilt for one reason or another. So what I did when I was going through my scrap bucket is I pulled these out and I decided to either add some pieces of scrap fabric to make them a certain size. I think I made each one of these blocks about 9.5 inches, or I cut them down to 9.5 inches. And when I cut them, I didn't worry about cutting them on the lines of the blocks themselves. I just cut them wherever. Basically laid my square ruler down on top of them and cut around the edges. And so that's why it's broken blocks. So you can see the remnants of some of the blocks in this, but of course they're not the complete block because they've been sliced up. It's a great way to get rid of your scraps. It's a great way to use up your orphan blocks. And actually, I think the final result of this kind of looks like an art quilt in that these are kind of abstract looking pieces. I put sashing in between, that's the white fabric that's there, and then added a couple of borders around the outside, and then I quilted this. And I quilted this using free motion quilting. Now, I am not a good free motion quilter, mainly because I don't practice, and everybody tells you this, you have to practice to become good at this. But given the time situation we're in now, given that this was basically a scrap quilt, meaning that it was just to use up pieces of old fabric that I had laying around, I decided to remove the element of fear by just saying, hey, what the heck, it's just a scrap quilt anyways, it's not going in a show, it's not being given to anybody, it's just for me to have some fun, so throw caution to the wind and just give it a try. And I did. And I'm kind of happy with the result. Now, it's very difficult to see this on video, but what I did was something they call stippling, which is basically a pattern that is a tight meandering, that's the word I want, around. A lot of curves back and forth and up and down and that kind of thing. Well, I'm not so good at that, but that's what I was trying for. So mine's more scribbling than stippling, okay? But nevertheless, it turned out okay. And for this kind of quilt, it kind of goes with it. Now you see these wavy lines that are down here, or maybe you can't. They're also in the borders. Those I simply did with my standard walking foot and did my wavy line thing in there. But each one of these blocks has this, what I'm calling scribble quilting in it. Now you might get a better look of it from the back, so I'll just, pull this up here. So there, if you look carefully, you might get a little better look at what this whole thing looks like. And basically it looks like I scribbled all over it. But you want to know something? It cost me nothing except my time. Didn't take long to make. It was kind of fun to make because you didn't know what it was going to look like until you finally finished it. And I got some practice in free motion quilting, and that's okay. And with that practice comes an increase in my confidence level. So the next quilt that I have hanging up in there, I'm going to do free motion probably on it as well. I might try a little ruler foot quilting as well. Again, something I am not comfortable with, but hey, that's the nature of any kind of craft you do. If you go with the tried and the true and you just do the same thing over and over again, it just gets boring. So you got to push yourself out there. You got to challenge yourself and sort of break outside of your box and just try something. I mean, after all, it's only fabric. In 100 years' time, who cares? Simple as that, eh? Okay. Oops, I said simple as that. Walter's going to nail me when this gets played back. He hates that when I use that expression. Well, too bad. Okay, so what else have I been up to this week? Well, primarily that. That's the only thing. And so let's move right into the channel of the week, Jesson Art. This is for all my friends out there who are still into mixed media, more so than I am these days. And, you know, I do tend to sometimes pick YouTube channels that lean towards more of the sewing, quilting kind of thing. But this is for you, and I think you'll find it very inspiring. This week's YouTube channel is called Jesson Art, and this is a channel all about mixed media and art journaling. She has a lot of process videos showing her talent and her style, and believe me, her talent and style is wonderful. She truly is an artist. I find this YouTube channel really inspiring when I'm looking at a blank page in my art journal. And this lady, she has been published in Stampington Art Journal magazine, which is one of the foremost art journal magazines. So if you're looking for beautiful pages to inspire your own creative endeavors, check out Jesson Art. Okay, so the link for Jesson Art is in the show notes below, and there's a link for Stephen and Walter Live as well. This past week we sort of talked about the usual variety of things, but we also talked a little bit more about Zoom, and I'm asking people to give me some ideas about how I might use Zoom along with my YouTube channel. I did put out a call for people who might be interested in doing sort of a sew and coffee chat kind of thing on Zoom with my Idiot Quilter part of my channel. But I have had a suggestion that maybe even combine both the sewing and paper arts and scrapbooking and that kind of thing all as one Zoom. Basically a craft session where everybody has a project they might be working on and can work on that while we do a Zoom meeting. So if you think that's something you might be interested in, then just send me an email message with your email address and letting me know that this is something you would like to do. You'll find my email address at the end of the vlog, and yeah, just drop me a note. And again, let me reassure you that I do not give out your email address or information to anybody, and I don't. Okay, that is the god-awful truth. Okay, I will not for any reason at all. It's just so I know if I do a Zoom and I know you're interested, I can send you the invitation by that by your email. So, you know, and if you have other ideas for how we as a community, and when I mean that, I mean you, my subscribers, that we could get together face to face about something, then let me know. I have the subscription to Zoom. I might as well use it, right? So, yeah, so drop me a line. Okay, also you will find a link to the book of the week, and I have finally finished the Grimoire, as you will see in today's vlog, and I have taken all the pieces of that I've been doing from the last, well, I've been working on this, since February? Before COVID, actually. I have put all the pieces together into one video. So if you're interested in looking at that or reviewing certain things that I did or whatever, you don't have to sit through all my vlogs to find each piece. It'll all be there in one neat little video. The video's not so little, it's over 2 hours long. Okay, but you can always fast forward through the parts you're not interested in or whatever. So I've put the link to that in the show notes as well. Okay, product review. What have I bought? Well, I haven't bought much. But what I did buy was fabric. Now, first of all, I'm going to show you. My guild subscribes to a couple of quilting magazines, and they go into our library, and people can take them out at our guild meetings, or at least they used to be able to do that, because right now, of course, we're not meeting physically. We are still meeting virtually. So I think we're going to put the magazine subscriptions on hold for a while. They've come up for renewal. But in the meantime, one of my jobs as secretary of the guild is to check our mailbox, and that's where our magazines come. So I get first look at the magazines, and I kind of like that. I go through the magazines, and if I see something I'm interested in, I copy it and print it out for a future project. Well, there were two that I really like. There was this one. It's a Bird of Paradise. I think they call it Bird of Paradise. Just let me check here. Yeah, what do they call it? Oh, sorry, this was not from the magazines. This one was from the Missouri Star Quilt magazine that I occasionally buy, and that's the Block magazine. And I get it digitally, so I can print out from it the patterns they have. Yeah, Bird of Paradise is what this is called. This is what the final quilt looks like. These are not the colors I would necessarily use. In fact, I'm not going to use those colors at all. And I don't know when I'm going to work on it, but it did say that it used 4 charm packs. Charm packs are 5-inch squares. So when I happened to be in my quilting store the other day, being safe, okay, I want to remind you that when I say I go to my quilting store, I'm being very safe. I'm wearing my mask. You have to book a time. There isn't any other customers in the store while I am there. And if there is 1 or 2 at the most, we're all keeping our social distancing, and the staff are wearing masks, and there's not very many staff there to start with. So yes, we're doing it very, very safe. Okay. So when I was in there, I bought 4 packs of these. It's called Sandscapes, and they look quite nice. And I think they're in a variety of colors here. I'll see if I can pull one out and show you what the colors look like. And I don't want to take the band off, but here you go. You get the idea. They're blues, they're purples, they're teals, that kind of thing. I think those will look really nice on that particular quilt using probably a white background as well for it. But as I said, I don't know when I'm going to get to that project. And in that same Block magazine, excuse me, sneeze, there was another pattern I really thought was fantastic. It's called River Path Quilt. Really pretty. And what I'm going to use for that is, I had one of these packages, but I bought a second one. And they're by Stonehenge, which is Northcott Fabric Company. Graduation Chips, they're called. And those look really, really pretty. And again, purples, teals, blues, and there's some reds and oranges in there too as well. The advantage of buying, packages like these, all your fabrics coordinate. So it takes the problem of matching up things, away from you. So those are a couple of projects that I've got laid out to do. And I found another pattern just this morning before I started doing the vlog from Jordan Fabric. They have great tutorials on Jordan Fabric, and they have great patterns. And their patterns are really well explained, and you can download them and they're free. Many of them are free. So I get a lot of patterns from that. I have a huge box of patterns that I'll never get through in my lifetime. But I see them and I like them. And I find that if I see a pattern I like and I look through my stash and I find that I actually have the fabric for it, I set them all aside so they're there ready to go for the next time I'm making a quilt. Anyways, that's all I've bought this week. And yeah, been a slow week. Didn't even actually have anything off of Amazon either, for that matter. Slowed down on my buying here a little bit. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Okay, so that takes us to what's pissing me off this week. Okay, I told you I go to the quilt store. We wear our masks. The only places that we go to, grocery store, quilt store, the pharmacy. And we wear our masks. And we practice social distancing. I wish I could say that everybody that we come into contact with is doing the same thing, but they're not. And it's really pissing me off. They're not wearing their masks. This is just plain stupidity. Stupidity. Now, we know that they have said that the cotton masks that most of us are making and that kind of thing are not 100% good for filtering out COVID virus. Okay, we know that, but it's better than no protection. And in a sense, as I said, it's not protecting you, it's protecting the people around you. If you've got a cough or something like that, the mask is catching, a lot of that, and it's keeping spray from out there on other people. It's just sort of common sense, really, you would think, and any thinking and intelligent person would know that. Yes, wearing a mask is uncomfortable because we're not used to it. Unless you're in the medical field, you're not used to wearing a mask over your mouth and your nose. And speaking of mouth and nose, you have to wear your mask properly. No, I saw one lady come into the pharmacy the other day when I was standing in line waiting for a prescription. She walked in, she had a mask on, down here around her neck, around her throat. That's not going to do any good. What's that, a fashion accessory? What? I was tempted to say to her, excuse me, but you realize that that's not where your mouth and your nose are. Yeah, they're a little higher. But I didn't. Her husband was with her. They were an older couple. Her husband, he was coughing. I don't think it was a COVID cough, but then again, how do I know? I'm not a doctor. He was coughing, no mask in sight with him. He wasn't practicing social distancing either. Now, I'll have to say one thing for this lady. When she got into the line to pick up her prescription, and they have markings on the floor so we know to be 6 feet apart and all that kind of thing, she did put her mask on over her mouth and her nose. But there were other people in the pharmacy that were not wearing masks at all. They were behaving like things are back to normal, and they're not. And then there's the people who say, well, I can't wear a mask for health reasons. What? Health reasons. Well, I can't breathe. Yes, you can. Yes, you can breathe. Okay? They're not made out of plastic. You're not got your head in a plastic bag, or you haven't saran wrapped your whole head. Okay? That would be a problem. But you can breathe. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Some say, well, they're claustrophobic. I get that. I'm a claustrophobic as well. But you want to know something? Claustrophobia is not a physical problem. It's a mental problem. You can get over it. I know. I have had panic attacks. Not from wearing a mask, but from being in small, tight spaces. And I've had to get a grip and say to myself, it's okay, it's okay. Yes, it feels like there's no oxygen when you have a panic attack as a claustrophobic. I get that. It's a real fear, but it's a mental fear. And with a mask, well, really, just relax. Breathe in normally, breathe out normally. Okay? You can get a grip on this. Better that than getting the disease, or worse, spreading it to somebody else. I think people who don't wear masks, not only are they stupid, not only are they putting their own health in jeopardy, but they are threatening general society. They're threatening those people that come in contact with them. A lot of people are going on about it's my right. If you make me wear a mask, that's a violation of my personal freedoms. People have this really blown up sense that they have a lot of freedom in the world. Americans are the worst for this, thanks to their Constitution, which most Americans have never read, and which most Americans, if they have read it, do not understand it or remember what it says. Yes, they have certain freedoms. But one of those freedoms, it doesn't say in the Constitution or in our Constitution in Canada, it says you have the right to refuse to wear a face mask during a time of pandemic. It does not say that in there. So there is no violation of your freedom. Okay? I'm sorry, it is not a personal choice. Not in a situation like this. A personal choice is something like, what nail color are you going to wear today? What tie are you going to wear today? What color shirt are you going to wear today? What style of hair are you going to have your hair cut in? Those are personal choices. Wearing a mask is not a personal choice. Not when your decision to wear one or not to wear one affects the rest of society. Come on, people. We have to be responsible for other people in our world. It is up to each and every one of us as an individual to keep each and every other individual safe. That's what separates us from the animal kingdom. Because we're supposed to be of higher order thinking organism that understand the importance of keeping society whole, of keeping society together, of keeping society organized and well running. You are contributing to the exact opposite of those things if you're not wearing a mask. I'm not understating this at all. And I'm waiting. Today, my area is supposed to make a declaration as to whether or not they're going to make mask wearing mandatory, and I hope they are. Because when they do, and I walk into some place like the pharmacy, and I see somebody standing in the pharmacy not wearing a mask, I will say to them, "Excuse me, where's your mask?" In fact, I bought a box of 50 masks from a place that I buy embroidering stuff from. They had a special on them. You got 50 of them. They're the paper or cotton little masks kind of a thing that, that everybody was trying to get their hands on. They're not the N95s or whatever, but they're still a face mask. I'm going to put a couple of those in my pocket when I go out. And if I see somebody not wearing a mask, and say, "Oh, excuse me, I noticed you don't have a mask. Here's one for you." If they turn around and they say, "Well, I'm not wearing one of those," and I'll say, "It is mandatory. It is the law." Right now, I can't say that to them because it's not a law. And this is where I have a problem with our provincial and federal leaders. They are afraid to make it, in our province anyways, they're afraid to say province-wide you have to have a mask on if you go into a public area, like a store, like a grocery store, like a pharmacy. They won't say it. What they have said is they've left it up to the individual leaders of each region, of each city, the mayors, the town councils. That's passing the buck. I know that in my province, there are certain areas where they're not having any increased outbreaks. And most of those areas are outside of what we call the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. I live in the GTA, okay, because my proximity to Toronto. And Toronto is the epicenter of my province. These people that live out in the more rural areas where they've probably never even seen anybody that with COVID or anything like that, they're being a little bit more lax. But I don't care. It's for all of us. And who's to say that somebody from outside gets into those areas and you're not wearing a mask and they are asymptomatic or whatever and they spread it? So isn't it worth a little bit of discomfort for long-term gain? I mean, do I need to say it? Do I need to say it? All we have to do is look south of our border. The United States is a wreck. Quite frankly, they're a wreck. And some of the people on Stephen and Walter Live yesterday were talking about this, and they're thoroughly disgusted with their own people. All these ones who think this is like taking away their personal liberties and all that stuff, like I mentioned before. And, they're out there protesting against face masks. Huh? Isn't there a lot of other things we could be protesting in this world? Like world hunger, the pandemic, the way the American government has handled it and looked after their people, which they haven't done, all that kind of thing. Rather than going around and saying, "I have the right not to wear a mask." You have the right to die too, but you do not. And I have said this, how many times have I said this in these segments? I'm being pissed off. Everybody has the right to die. I am not taking that right away from you, but you do not have the right to kill me. That's murder. And not wearing your mask and spreading this bloody disease, that is murder. So that's why I'm pissed off this week. I'm pissed off that people are so stupid, that people are so selfish, that people are so ignorant, that they won't listen to the health authorities, that they think they know it all, and yep, they're spreading the disease. And all one has to do for a fine example of what I'm talking about is look to the United States. End of discussion. Okay, let's move on to the book of the week. And the book of the week is keeping with my little theme, unconscious theme, about bookbinding and album making. I came across this book in my set. Forgot all about this one. Bookbinding, step by step. So here you go. It's another sort of instruction manual. Shows you what you need and techniques. You can see it's very wordy. It's very detailed. Lots of pictures showing you what to do. So again, if you want to seriously get into bookbinding and you want to learn it the right way, then this book is the book for you. Is it an expensive book? Well, first of all, it's by Kathy Abbott. I don't know who she is, but the book is good. And I looked it up. And you can get this book on Amazon. It's not cheap. You can get it on Amazon.ca for $40.52. And that was with Prime, so no shipping there. But you can find it for almost half that price in the used section. I think I found it at $26.24, and then there's shipping on it as well. But a book like this, finding it in the used section, I'm sure you can get a really good deal on it. And I think that may have been how I got this book, looking at it from the back, because I don't see any prices on it. Oh, must have been published in Britain, because there is a price on the jacket cover on the inside, and it says it was £19.95, £19.95, is that pence? You know, so in other words, £20 for this book, which makes it about right for what Amazon.ca is selling it for, because although the pound isn't exactly, for Canadian dollars, it's not a direct conversion, but usually when I think of pounds, I usually figure out at about 1.72, 1.75. I just double it for Canadian money. So if you really want to get into bookbinding, this is another really good resource. Again, called Bookbinding, a Step-by-Step Guide by Kathy Abbott. And I've got the link to the Amazon listing for it in the show notes below. Okay, so that takes us to the Grimoire. It's done. I sigh, because this has been a long time coming. Yeah, I could have done it faster, but I was spacing it out so I could show you step by step what I was doing with it each week. And it's finally done. I didn't realize how many pages this was going to create, but there's over 30 pages in the album. And I finally finished the last set of pages, actually 32 pages to be exact. So I did the last 4 pages, and here it is. So here are the last couple of pages in the Grimoire, and at this point I'm kind of glad I have it done. This was a big project, and it took me quite a while to finish it all up. So on the last 4 pages, what I did was I took some of my leftover spell cards that I had printed off from Google Images, and there was a pocket here, so I just tucked them in. And this pocket had a tag, which we'd already pre-decorated before, but what I did was I found some of these Tim Holtz clips, and I just clipped these to the tag, and I pasted one of these tags to this tag, as well as another area for writing on, that kind of thing. And of course, like I've been doing throughout this process, I've been letting pieces of my designs, my page embellishments, stick out over the top to give that overstuffed look to the Grimoire, and I think I've accomplished that pretty well. On this page, I happen to have this card. Now, there's a little story behind this card. I order a lot of Mike Deacon's digital downloads, and some of his laser cut wood chip pieces. And in one of those packages that actually physically came to me, he sent me a thank you card. And this is one that was made by Mike Deacon himself. So I have saved it, waiting for the right moment or the right project to include it. And I thought it would look good on this page right here. In that wizardry book that I've been cutting different pieces out of, there was this little mini booklet. And so I removed it from the main book itself, and it's called Harpier's Book. It says, the answer to any magical question can be found within my pages. Think of the question, hoot 3 times like an owl as you turn anti-clockwise to call Harpier. Open a page at random, and there's your answer. Use with caution. Want to try it? Let's give it a try, shall we? So what? We're supposed to think of a question, hoot 3 times like an owl as you turn anti-clockwise, and to call Harpier. Okay. Thinking of my question. I have my question now, and no, I don't have my question yet. I got to think about this. Okay, I've got the question. Hoot 3 times like an owl as you turn anti-clockwise. Okay, I'm thinking of my question. Go ahead. And hoot, 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 Okay, and open any page at random. Harpier stands on one leg. The way forward, it is unclear. The way forward is unclear. Okay. I'm not going to tell you what I wished for, because it doesn't come true. All right, and then I found another spell card here that I just tucked in here behind this page, so this is acting like a little pocket. Okay, for the last 2 pages, I kind of, I was out of ideas, so I just basically put 2 blank pages that I had printed. You've seen these previously, and just glued them on here, and this is a place where the wizard or the Wiccan or the witch or whoever could just write some notes. So that completes the grimoire. A lot of pages in here, as you can see, and so there we have it. It is overstuffed. I think what I'm going to do with it now is I'm going to tie it up, and I'm going to put a really heavy weight on this just to kind of bend it into shape a little bit more, and leave that on there for maybe 24 hours or something and see what happens. So that's the grimoire. It's complete. Okay, so as I said, I have taken all those pieces that I've had from every vlog, put them all together as one video, a long video, but it's a video, and that's listed in the show notes below too. What's my next project? Well, glad you asked. I'm going to make another type of album, but I'm going to focus on Mike Deacon's digital downloads for this. Actually, to be specific, I'm going to focus on his partner Ian's digital downloads called a Clockwork Garden. It's very Victorian looking, and if you go to Vern Industries, is what Ian, Mike Deacon's partner, calls his website, you can see examples of them. His journals that he's made with these are absolutely gorgeous and expensive, but rightly so. There's over 200 pages and they're 125 pounds. So given what I just said, that's almost $200 Canadian. But they are a beautiful journal. And if you're somebody who's looking for a unique gift for somebody who might appreciate these kind of things, you might be willing to invest that much money into it. Now, of course, shipping is probably astronomical, and Mike's been talking on his vlog about how long it's taking for stuff from the UK to get here to Canada. And that has nothing to do with Mike or Ian. That has everything to do with the postal services and what they're doing with the COVID crisis. We know the drill. But if you're into making your own, you can buy the digital downloads, and they're very reasonable in price. The set I bought, there's 20 pages. They're in PDF format, and you can do lots of things with PDF format. You can print them out, or you, through your PDF program, you can usually convert them to JPEGs, and you can manipulate them in, various graphic programs. That's what I do. And for, I think it was like £7.50, something like that. Again, in Canadian dollars, that worked out for me for about $17. But they're high quality, they're high resolution, they print out beautifully, and of course you can have as many copies of them as you want once you've got the file, and you don't have to rely upon the postal service. You can just download them. And Mike, on his website, MikeDeaconArt.com, he has all kinds of digi-downloads, and I think I own almost every one that he's ever created. I think there's a couple I never did buy, but I have bought most of them. So I am going to use this set and make a journal. Now, I have ideas in my head what this is going to look like, and I'm not going to share those with you yet. Hopefully next week on the vlog, you'll see the very beginnings of what I'm going to do with this. It'll be another long project, probably, and you'll see bits and pieces of it. But I'm kind of excited about doing this one because I really do like this digi-download set that Ian has created. So stay tuned for that. I'll be starting that in next week's vlog. Okay, so events in the past week. Update on my mother. I'm pissed with her. I'm sorry. I know she's elderly. She's going to be 80 next month. She's in a nursing home. Her health is pretty good. But I'm pissed with her. And this is why. as you know, with the COVID virus thing, I can't get over to see her. Okay. So my routine of going over at least once a week, and my sister was doing that too as well, we can't, and we haven't been able to, and I haven't been over there in 4 months. They have put new restrictions on for visiting, but quite frankly, they don't want anybody visiting because the restrictions are, you have to jump through a flaming hoop to do it, okay? And I've explained this to my mother, and she seems to understand that. My problem with my mother is she won't pick up the damn phone. I've tried to get her this week several times. Never once. I mean, last week, actually. This is Monday. So from last weekend to this past weekend, and that, she won't pick up the phone. I don't know why. It rings and it rings and it rings and it rings. Now, I know that it's difficult for her to get to the phone, but not that difficult. Heaven forbid she should phone me. You know, she claims all the time, oh, I just don't know. When I do finally get a hold of her, oh, this phone, it's just not working right. No, the phone is fine, Mom. I've had it checked out. The phone is fine. It's her. My sister's a little bit more blunt. My sister just says, it's user error, Mother. Okay, that may sound less cruel, but it is starting to get my goat because this is why. I tried her again yesterday. Actually, I tried her on Saturday. Her phone was busy. I tried several times over a period of about 45 minutes. Her phone was busy all the time, which meant to me she's got it off the hook again. But then I thought, well, maybe my sister's talking to her. So I texted my sister and asked her, and my sister said, nope, she had talked to my mother on the Tuesday before. And I said, oh, so she answered the phone for you? Yeah, she did. Well, I said, I keep trying her, she won't answer the phone. Now, my mother does not have call ident, so if she was being belligerent, okay, and she's not in that way, it's not like, oh, she sees my name come up on the phone and she decides that she's not going to answer it. But my mother can be somewhat wicked. My mother can feel sorry for herself a lot. You know, all of us go through that, don't we? Sometimes? Yeah, okay. I've done it too. I've had a little pity party for a little while for myself, and then you get a grip and go on. But my mother will do this from time to time. Well, not from time to time. A lot of time. And she expects the world to stop spinning on her command. Well, it doesn't. I do a lot for my mother. Okay, you know that. I've talked about it. My mother has had, you know, all the care she can possibly get. Yes, part of why my hair is white is thanks to my mother. So it annoys me to no end when she doesn't pick up the phone. So I tried again yesterday. Well, the phone's not off the hook now because it rang and it rang and it rang and it rang and it rang. And I tried several times and it rang and it rang and it rang and it rang. And still she didn't pick it up. So I will try again today, various times today, to get a hold of her. Eventually what will happen is she will answer it, and this is what I'm going to hear. Oh, I thought you died. Look, old lady. No, I have to keep my temper, because for one thing, it's not going to make me feel any better yelling at my mother. It'll just make me feel worse. 2, she won't get the point. I'll be met with silence. And 3, what am I going to do about it? My sister has a better philosophy about it. She says, you know, so be it. You tried. You did what you could. There it is. I'm not as calm about it as my sister is. I should be more. But I got thinking earlier this morning when I woke up. Why I think of this, I don't know. You know, really, and I'm sure others of you are in the same boat with aging parents. Your mind is only one thought away from them all the time. And, you know, it does take a toll on you. It really does. I worry. Now, I know she's being looked after and cared for. If there was any problems, they'd call me. They gave me a call the other day, actually, and when I see it come up, you know, what her nursing home name on my call ident, I kind of panic. I go, oh God, what's the matter with my mother? And they said, just want to let you know that your mother's medication for her eyes, my mother has glaucoma, It's on back order, but the nurse practitioner, she prescribed another one that's the same stuff, just a different brand and everything, and we've got that looked after. Just want to let you know. Thank you. Yes, great. See, they're looking after her, which they're supposed to do. That's why she's paying the big money to be in that place, right? But I really appreciate it when they call me and let me know this stuff. Keep me in the loop, kind of a deal. So that's great. But nevertheless, I can't stop worrying about her. And I keep thinking I'm not doing my job as a good son, because I'm not going over there to visit her because I can't, basically. Yeah, I can, okay? I can. I have to get a COVID test, for one thing. And I have to get the COVID test, and it has to come back negative 2 weeks before the arranged time to visit my mother. My luck would be this. I'd get the COVID test. It would come back negative. That would be fine. I would want it to do that. I would make the arrangements. I get the time. I get over there, and then I would find out, oh, my mother is in bed. She's not feeling well. Because she would do that. Yeah, she would. My mother is I don't know if passive aggressive. She is very, very cunning. And that pisses me off. And so I don't know. So I'll say to her when I finally get her on the phone, and I'll say, okay, Mom, you know, I've been trying to get a hold of you for the last week. The phone rings and rings. You don't answer it. At one point, you must have left it off the hook. It got busy signal for an hour. Couldn't get through. What's the problem? And this is what I'll get. Hi, Mom, you still there? Yes. So what's the problem? I don't know. And that's at that point where, you know, I would just like to be able to reach right through the phone cord and have my hand come out and go, but no. So what can you do? I don't know. I guess I just have to have my sister's philosophy and go, you know, you do what you can, move on. Anyways, sorry, kind of dumped on you about that one, but I am feeling very frustrated with it. I could dump it all on Walter, but I do. And he just sort of tunes me out, you know, because, yeah, broken record. Okay, let's move on. Let's do it. Talking about other things that are a broken record, let's talk about my sewing machine, the continuing saga of the 15,000 Janome Horizon. What's the latest? I don't know. I took in the embroidery unit for the stores machine, which I have on loan, because they've come down to the conclusion, as I said last week, that maybe it's that. I took it in on Thursday. Shirley wasn't there for it, but that's okay. You know, she's busy doing other things and whatnot. She knew that I was bringing it in that day because she asked me to bring it in that day, so I did. And, yeah, I have no idea. So now I have the sewing machine. I can still sew, but I can't do any embroidery whatsoever because I need the embroidery unit to do that. I don't know what's happening with it. No idea. It's a good thing I have several sewing machines and I can just go on with my other projects than that. I'm at that point now where I'm numb to all of this. It's just a waiting game. We'll see what happens. I will tell you one thing though. When I get my machine back, it better purr like a kitten. Because the first time it does something horrible, I am going to go down to Janome in Oakville headquarters and I'm going to burn it to the ground. Well, in my imagination. Now, am I saying that Janome's a bad company? No, I am not. This whole thing is affected by the situation we're in right now. I get that. Shirley has gone, as I've said many, many, many times before, above and beyond service. No complaint whatsoever there. I don't really have a complaint with anybody. It is what it is. It's one of those things. It's just getting to the point now that it's becoming almost a comedy of errors. It's almost like laughable in a dark humor kind of way. So I sit, I wait, we see. Other things we're sitting and waiting for to see too, just a little update on these kind of things, is the money back from the river cruise. What's the latest? Well, I told you that we sent, and I read it to you, the letter off to the insurance company about their part of it. Haven't heard anything back from them yet. Walter did get in contact again with the river cruise company, and they said, oh yes, like supposedly it's all there. We're supposed to get 50% of our money back from them, but they said it could take up from 60 to 90 days from the date they looked at it. Okay, that was May the 7th, apparently, about that. So we are now almost, tomorrow's July the 7th, that's 60 days. So August the 7th would make it 90 days. So we're waiting. We're supposed to get 50% back. That's part of the contract with it. The other part of it is the part we're going through the insurance company, and well, we haven't heard anything from that. We sent them, Walter actually sent them the letter physically, and he registered it. He sent it by expedited post, which in Canada right now means nothing. But anyways, there's a record of it, so they can't say they never got it. And I don't know how much longer we're going to wait before we check up on that one. Again, we're not giving up on this thing. It's just too much money to give up on. So the fight continues. Okay, so what's coming up and what am I excited about? I'm excited. On Thursday, I get my hair cut. Yes. Never have I gone 4 months. It's 4 months tomorrow when I had my last haircut. March the 4th, or March the 7th, I think it was. No, it was March the 5th that I got my haircut last. So it's now been 4 months. And yeah, I need my hair cut. I'm excited about that. Who would have thought we'd ever get to that point where we'd be excited about getting a haircut? Well, I am. Walter's getting his cut on Wednesday. I get mine cut on Thursday. Now, it would just be my luck that our government will turn around and back up on all of the things that are open and close everything down the day before I get my haircut. I can tell you, if that should ever happen, I will be cutting my own hair. I can't take this any longer. Oh, there's a joke in there somewhere. Longer hair, you get it? I got this ducktail at the back. I said to Walter, maybe I'll just get the side shaved and the top cut short, a little shorter, and just leave the back and be a mullet. Bring it back into style. Oh God, no. Am I going to get rid of this? Oh no. No. I'm quite liking this beard. I think I'm rocking it. We'll see what this looks like when I get my hair cut. My hairdresser, and I've been going to her for over 30 years, she's going to be in shock because I didn't tell her about the beard or anything like that. So, I've never seen myself in a beard because I never had one before. So anyways, yeah, I'm keeping the beard. I like that. I'm trying to keep it trimmed decently. So that's something new. Never had to groom a beard before, but okay. Learn something new all the time. Okay, so that's all I got to look forward to this week. Working on a new project, a new quilt. The one I showed you last week, Glorious and Proud, or Free, Glorious and Free, the big maple leaf. Well, I'm playing around with fabrics, and I finally decided on a different combination completely than what the pattern calls for, because I can't get the other fabric. And I think it's going to look quite good. So I've had to do some cutting of fabric in a certain way. It's not the way I would normally cut, but because I've altered the pattern, I've had to do things, so I hope that works out all right. So that's what I'm going to be working on over the next little while, and I'll be sure to show that to you. So that's it for this week. As I mentioned before, if you've got some ideas of what we could do with Zoom in relation to my channel and things like that, please feel free to drop me a line in my email address. You can leave it in the comments as well. Either way, I will see it. And it would be really nice to do a Zoom with, people that are regular subscribers to my YouTube channel. And, whether we just chat or whether we plan it around something, a tutorial or a sort of a virtual retreat kind of thing, whatever. I'm open to suggestions, and I hope you'll give me some. And we'll see where it goes from there. So I hope you have a really good week. Wear your mask and stay in, okay, as much as you possibly can, okay? And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.